Amy Rose had always been Sonic's biggest supporter, chasing after him with an unwavering determination. To her, Sonic was more than a hero. He was her world. But as time passed, Amy began to notice the cracks in their dynamic. Sonic's carefree nature, once endearing, now left her feeling unseen. His endless adventures became longer. His promises to return were vague, and his calls home dwindled. For the first time in years, Amy began to question if the connection she cherished was mutual. One particularly quiet afternoon, Amy found herself visiting Tails at his workshop. Tails, ever the inventor, had asked for her help organizing his cluttered workspace. She agreed, eager to occupy her restless mind. Amid the hum of machinery, Amy's thoughts drifted to Sonic, wondering where he was this time, fighting which threat, and why he hadn't called. Her musings were interrupted by the sound of footsteps. Turning, she saw Shadow the Hedgehog entering the workshop, his usual stoic expression softened by a hint of curiosity. "I hate his ways. I hate his ways. I hate his ways. I hate his ways. I hate this ways." Each word beginning with an H would bring you here. Amy smiled faintly. "Just helping Tails out. What about you?" "Routine check-in. Tails has been working on some upgrades for the Arc systems," Shadow replied. His gaze lingered on her, as if he sensed the storm of emotions beneath her cheerful facade. "You seem distracted." At first, Amy brushed off his comment, but Shadow's calm demeanor invited honesty. With a sigh, she admitted, "I guess I've been feeling a little invisible lately. Sonic's always off somewhere, saving the day. I understand why, but it's hard not to feel like I'm not a priority." Shadow crossed his arms, his crimson eyes steady. "Have you told him how you feel?" Amy hesitated. "Not really. I don't want to burden him. He's got enough on his plate without me adding to it." Shadow frowned. "That's not how a partnership works. If you can't share your feelings with him, how is he supposed to understand?" His words resonated, but Amy wasn't ready to confront Sonic yet. Instead, she found herself drawn into more conversations with Shadow over the following weeks. They bumped into each other more often, whether at the workshop, during missions, or by coincidence in the small city where many of their friends lived. Shadow, though reserved, proved to be a surprisingly good listener. He offered insights that were both blunt and honest, a stark contrast to the whirlwind energy Sonic brought into her life. Their bond deepened, and Amy began to notice things about Shadow she hadn't before. His quiet strength, his sense of duty, and even his rare dry humor. One evening, as they sat together on a hill overlooking the city, their conversation took an unexpected turn. "Do you ever get tired of chasing him?" Shadow asked, his voice tinged with curiosity. Amy blinked, caught off guard. "What do you mean?" Amy said. "Sonic," Shadow clarified. "You've spent so much of your life running after him. Do you ever wonder if you're chasing an idea of him rather than the real thing?" Amy opened her mouth to argue, but found herself at a loss. The question lingered in her mind long after their conversation ended. For the first time, she considered that her love for Sonic might be rooted in the pursuit itself, rather than a true connection. One fateful evening after a long day helping Tails, Amy and Shadow found themselves alone again. Their conversation drifted to personal topics, and before she realized it, Amy was confessing her doubts about her relationship with Sonic. Shadow listened intently, his crimson eyes fixed on hers. She said with conviction, "One fateful night, Taylor kissed me." "You deserve someone who sees you," he said quietly. "Not someone who's always running away." The weight of his words hung between them. Shadow's hand brushed against hers, and for a fleeting moment, Amy allowed herself to imagine a different life. One where she didn't have to chase after affection, where she was seen and valued without question. The moment felt electric, but it was over as quickly as it began. "We can't do this," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "I care about Sonic. Even if he doesn't always show it, I know he cares too." "But..." Shadow nodded, his expression softening. "You need to talk to him, Amy. Honestly. Otherwise, you'll keep running in circles." The next day, Amy resolved to confront Sonic. She called him, and to her surprise, he answered almost immediately. They agreed to meet at their favorite spot in the park, a place where they'd shared countless moments over the years. When Sonic arrived, his usual confident grin faltered as he saw the seriousness in Amy's expression. She didn't waste time. "Sonic, I need to talk to you," she began, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her chest. "I've been feeling like I'm not important to you. You're always off on some adventure, and I get it, that's who you are. But it's hard not to feel invisible." "And go through there." Sonic's eyes widened, and for once, he didn't have a quick reply. After a long pause, he sighed. "Amy, I'm sorry. I never wanted to make you feel that way. I guess I've been scared of slowing down. But that doesn't mean I don't care about you." They talked for hours, delving into their fears and expectations. For the first time, Amy felt truly heard, and Sonic began to understand the depth of her feelings. They didn't resolve everything that day, but they agreed to take small steps toward building a stronger foundation. As for Shadow, he returned to his usual solitary routine, his role in Amy's journey complete. Their friendship remained, but both knew it was better left as a connection that helped Amy find clarity. In the end, Amy's near misstep became a turning point. Not a betrayal, but a moment of self-reflection that led her and Sonic to grow stronger together.